Shir is dedicated to Nishmas Rachalea Bas Rav Chaim Tzvi. Okay, in today's shir, I'd like to discuss a new malacha, basically cover the entire malacha in one shir. It's a short malacha, and that is the malacha of Memachek. The malacha of Memachek. The Mishnah in Masechet Shabbos Davayin Gimel Amud Aleph, in discussing the third night malacha, is mentioned as part of the avodas haor, as part of the avoda of getting leather ready for its preparation for use. So the Mishnah tells us, Hama'abed es oro, if you take the leather, after you shechted the animal, you skin the animal, so there's a process called ibud oros, where you go ahead and take the leather to soften it, to make it ready for use as for urios, for writing, whatever you're going to use the leather for. So step number one, Hama'abed es oro, you'll go ahead and soften the leather, tan the leather, what we call tanning, and then the Mishnah tells us, Hamemachko, and then you go ahead and do this action called Memachek. Rashi explains what exactly is Memachek. Megarer se'aro. You go ahead and scrape off the hairs, the remaining hairs on the animal. The main hairs of the animal, the wool of the animal, that you already took off when you did the malacha of gozes. But even after you did the malacha of gozes, you continue, and that's done even while the animal's still alive. After the animal's shechted, you remove the leather, so there is this process of smoothing out the leather of the animal, and that you do by scraping away the hairs of the animal. You scrape it, megar, you scrape it, that's the malacha of memachik. What the malacha really means is anytime you take a surface, and by removing part of that surface, the upper elements of that surface, you smooth out that surface, that's going to be your malacha of memachik. And therefore, the Gemara in Masechet Shabbos, and Daf Ayin Hey Amud Beis, in discussing this malacha, tells us, Amar of Acha Bar Chanina, Hashaf Bein Amudim, B'Shabbos Chayav Mishum Memachik. If a person is shaf, literally what this means is he sands. Let's say you have wood, or you have these metal pieces that you need to go ahead and sand down to make smooth. So once again, that's the prohibition of memachek. Hashaf, Rashi writes, Hashaf sham bekarkois habinyan shnishan alav k'dei shechalak. You go ahead, let's say you have a building, you need to put in these pillars, these poles, you want to smooth out that foundation of the building in order for the rest of the building to take place. That's when it's going to be again the malacha of memachek. This is the av malacha, scraping the upper surface to facilitate the smoothing of that surface. Then the Gemara goes on to say, hamemareach ritia b'Shabbos chayav mishum memachek. If a person is memareach, literally, memareach means to spread, to smear. If a person is memareach ritia, you have a bandage, and you need to go ahead and apply the bandage. So what do you do, says Rashi, machlik tachboshes al hamaka. You smooth out, you flatten out the bandage over the wound. So that's going to be a tolda of Meleches Memachek. That's Memareach, which is a Tolda. And again, when it comes to Memareach, the difference between the Av Malacha and the Tolda, Pashtus is as follows. When it comes to the Av Malacha, you're removing the surface by sanding a piece of wood, make it nice and smooth. You're removing that upper surface of the item, thereby creating that smooth remainder. That is the Av Malacha. Memareach, the Tolda, is when you go ahead and you take something and you apply it onto the surface, and thereby creating a smoothing of the surface, not by removing, that's the Av Memachek, but rather by applying something over it, that's the Isser of Memareach. Rashi says when you apply that smooth bandage over the Makkah, so that presents an issue of Memareach. If you take a look at the Mishnah in Masechet Shabbos and Daf Kuf Mem Vav Amud Aleph, so the Mishnah has a further application of the Tolda, and the Mishnah discusses a barrel. You have a barrel on Shabbos, and the barrel has a hole in it. Let's assume the barrel has a hole in it. So you want to go ahead and fill the hole. So the Mishnah tells him, Hoisa Nukuva, if you have a barrel with this hole in it, so what are you supposed to do? Lo yitain alav shava mipnei shehu memareach. You're not allowed to put shava, a piece of wax, in that hole, and thereby mash the piece of wax in, so now it becomes a perfect sealant of that hole, now fuses directly onto the barrel. So now you have the barrel, the hole is plugged with this wax. That is usher because of Memarech, and Rashi once again makes clear V'yesh kan mishum memachek. That's called smoothing. It's smoothing by adding something in, and that is going to be the malacha. That's what you find is the av malachas. Memachek is the tolda of Memarech, and this is all going to be an Isser Doraisa. That's, for example, my wife tells me we had some water issues in our house. The water was leaking through. In the bathtub, the water was leaking through. It wasn't properly sealed, so they take the silicone here and they seal that those holes, those cavities. So that sealant is exactly what the Mishnah is referring to. To go ahead and smear that sealant would be an Isser of Memarech. In fact, the Gemara earlier in Masechah Shabbos Daf Ayin Daled talks about the case of ovens, and if a person wants to go ahead and make an oven, a tanura, he's chad mishum shmone chatos. Ha'oseh tanura b'Shabbos, he violates 8 chatos.